Yes, good afternoon, good morning, good evening. Welcome to Studio Live today for yet another week. And what are we doing today? Well, we are doing a final mix of my song here in GarageBand, which you're hearing in the background there. We'll just turn that down. We're getting some bad frame rates there, aren't we? That's going to be fun for the next hour or so because we will be here for a while. Hello. If it's your first time here on the channel, my name is Pete. This is Studio Live today, where my goal is to help you create, record, and release your best music. And I do that through tutorials and tips and tricks and live videos just like this one. So today, it'll be no exception. We will be creating a song. No, we won't. We'll be mixing a song here in GarageBand. So we're going to be using only free and stock plugins to mix this song in GarageBand. So I'm going to show you some things that I do around compression, EQ. There'll be some effects, some reverbs, some delays put in here. We're going to have to do some automation on this track to automate some volumes. So I'll be doing that, and I'll be showing you a few cool tips and tricks along the way that are going to make your workflow easier. So if you use GarageBand, then this is going to be super useful. If you're using other digital audio workstations, DAWs, then hang around because you may pick up a few things that can work with whatever platform you use. Now, I don't have my usual... If you're a regular, I don't have my usual weekly live streaming platform, so I can't throw your comments up here on the screen. I decided to go with quality of audio over the ability to have the comments up there this week. So apologies for that in advance. But hello to the folks. Amarasea has dropped in and said hello just because. Ultimato, Medallion, Mike Swain. Hello, welcome to everybody here on the live show. I will jump back and have a chat to you as we progress through here today. If there's any issues with the audio, let me know. The video, as I just showed you there, is going to be probably a little bit. I'm just going to check that I'm on the right Wi-Fi network so that it's actually going to be sharing correctly here. Give me 2 moments here. Yes, I am. So yes, it's just going to be that with the sharing here. So we'll bring that up here just so I can show you the sharing. It's going to be okay when we're static here, but as I move around, there's going to be a bit of a delay, and it's also going to be looking like it's going to be a pretty bad frame rate experience there as we're playing and showing things live. But it should be okay because when we jump in and start looking at the actual settings that we come in here, I'll just have to go a bit slowly so that it will come in here and show you what we're actually changing as we go through. Yeah, there we go. It's going to be fine. We'll get through it, but it's just going to be a little slow. If anyone's got a better idea, I have tried like putting a camera on my iPad and doing it that way, but AirPlay seems to be the best way to actually get this done. If you do get some value out of this today, hit the like button. That just tells me that you want to see more videos like this in the future. And by the time we get to the end of this one, what I need to have is a complete song, because if you've been following along, this is part of Songtember, which is a month where I am writing, recording, mixing, mastering, and releasing an entire song. And here's the thing. I'll go on a quick rant and then we'll jump into it, I promise. Here's the thing. It came out of the gate, so I started really well, really strong, wrote the song, wrote the lyrics, got a bunch of the instrumentals recorded, and then a few things happened. Life got in the way. Apple decided to release a new iOS version, a new iPhone, and a new iPad OS all at once, so that was fun. And so there was a lot of things I had to do to cover that, and you know what? The song just took a bit of a backseat for a while, and then I kind of ran out of time, so I didn't take my own advice and plan out in advance. That's what I said at the start. I said, work backwards, know your release date and work backwards. Well, what I know is I need to get this uploaded today, and that's going to take some effort. So let's jump in and have a look now. So if you are here, this is going to be a bit of a longer show, a bit of a different show, because I'm going to go into some pretty intense detail because we have to get this all done. But what I'll do is for the first maybe 10 minutes or so, we'll just go through and I'll give you the basics of what I'm doing, what I'm going to do. So if you're short on time, you can get in and get out. So let's take a tour of this track so far. You can see here we've got 2 acoustic guitar tracks at the top here that I've recorded here using my all of these are recorded using my Steinberg UR12, which is my favorite audio interface, and that's it'll be playing through here today as well. I've then got 2 electric guitars here, and if we take a look here at the panning, we've got our electric guitar, our lead guitar panned to the left, we've got our rhythm guitar panned to the right, and you can see I recorded them. I recorded the rhythm guitar a little bit hot there, but that's okay. We're gonna continue on with it. We've got a bass guitar that we've recorded down here. I then added in some new things. So I haven't shown a lot of this in previous videos, but we've got a piano here. So I recorded my piano, and this one's panned to the left. So this one you'll hear at the start is to complement some of the guitar work that we have going on. I've got an electric piano part panned to the right. So these are creating a bit of a bed, sort of complementing some of the guitar-driven rock sounds that we've got. I've then recorded my drums. And I did completely mean to actually do a video where I showed how I record drums, and then I ran out of time, so I just had to do the drums. So what I'm going to do is, once this is all done, I'll return and do that video, because you'll notice here, I've recorded it on 3 different tracks. And just to give you the quick version of what I do, if we come in here, we'll solo these tracks in. What I actually do when I'm recording drums is I record the kick and the snare on one drum part here. So if we just come in fact, let's just solo just the kick and the snare. I have kick and snare here. If we play that one and turn the volume up. And the reason I do that is I find it really difficult to actually play cymbals and kick and snare all on either the touchpad, or what I used here is a MIDI keyboard. So I plugged in my MIDI keyboard to record these drums. I then have another track down here, and I haven't named these, which is terrible of me. Yeah, bad Pete. I've got another track down here, which is my hi-hats and my ride cymbal. So when I bring that in here, it adds to that. And then our third track here is my crash cymbals, basically, just so that I could really get those crashes timed in. So if we hit play again, and together we get the overall drum beat that you'll hear as we go through. So that's my tip for recording drums. If you're finding you're struggling to record, if you're using virtual drums, then split them out. I know a lot of my buddies over on the GarageBand users Facebook group do the same thing. Jeff Brown is an absolute pro at this. So yes, if you've got any questions about this or things you want to know about recording drums, let me know, because a drum recording video is coming out very soon. I'm trying to speak slower. I'm getting excited, but it's funny. I got a comment on a previous video just before I started this stream that's like, learn how to speak properly. I'm like, oh, okay. Maybe I don't speak properly. Maybe it's just my accent doesn't like my Australian accent. I don't know about that. All right, I've added in this one here, a little Wurlitzer keyboard that's only doing a very little thing at the start here. It does this. You can just hear that. And the reason I've got that in is that, stop that now, is that at the start here, as you're going to hear in a moment, it plays the guitar, but the guitar sounded really sort of vacant and sort of alone by itself. So the guitar... So that little bip, 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 bip there in the background just adds a little bit of harmony to that. Well, not harmony, but a little bit of something different there. Then, if you caught the live stream yesterday, I recorded vocals. And after that live stream, I came back and I recorded a bunch more takes of the same vocals. So what you can see here is that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 takes of vocal. 6. No, that was an experimental harmony vocal. So we've got 5 takes of a vocal. We have 1 take of the harmony vocals here. So what I'm going to do, you'll notice I've got a blank track here. Another cool thing I'm going to do here today is I'm going to comp together vocals from these 5 takes, because what I'm hoping is that somewhere in those 5 takes down there, we have a usable part for every part of the song, because I don't think one individual take is going to be perfect, but the beauty part is that we can bring them all together onto this one comp track, and then I think that will be the best that we can do. So that's what we'll be going through there. We will be showing over here on the left all of the plugins and EQ and all the other moves we're doing. And the reason I made a bit of a call, I hadn't planned this, but I made a call that I'm going to only use free and stock plugins here in GarageBand, because I could throw on a bunch of, the Stark Amp Sim that costs $30 and the FAC Maxima plugin that costs like $10. And these are all great plugins, but I know not everyone has them. And I'd love for you to be able to hear that you can get a quality sound in GarageBand without spending any money at all. And then if you do want to enhance your sound, you can go to those others. So I'm not saying anything bad about plugins. I think plugins are cool, but I think, if you learn how to make good sounds with the free or the stock plugins in your digital audio workstation, then when you can actually come back and do more with it, then you're going to do even better. All right, quick coffee break. And then we're going to get into it. So let's just take a listen to how this is all sounding at the moment. We just need to unsolo that. So again, At the moment, we've got this one vocal track. This is my selected vocal, my best overall vocal, and my backing vocal. All the rest are muted. There's that whirly. We've got our 3 drum tracks that have all sort of been mixed. So I've mixed the hi-hats down a little bit there. Not the hi-hats, the cymbals down a little bit there so the crashes weren't too loud. We can come back and play with that. We've got our piano and our electric piano here, and then we've got all of our guitar recorded tracks here, our 5 guitar tracks that are ready to go. So let's just take a listen through to a little bit of the start here so that you can get a feel for the song. And if anything jumps out at you, drop it. If you're here live, drop it in the live chat. If you're on the replay, you can leave your comments, but I probably won't be able to get back to them unless it's in like the next couple of hours, because this final mix is happening and it's happening today. So let's hit play here. And here's the start of my song.
Life is long and you have much time. You're in a rush and you don't know why. You want it all and you want it now, but you doubt your talent and you don't know how. Look around at what others do. Think it's easy, so why not you? But success isn't overnight, so if you want to win, you're gonna have to fight. Hold on, hold on. A long time, hold on, 'cause it's gonna be a long, long time. Hey!
So that's where we're at the moment. And yes, you can, sorry, though that the frame rate is so bad, I did think it would be better than this, but that's okay. We will soldier on through this. Yep. There we go. So what do we need to do with this now? Well, there's a bunch of stuff I need to do. The first thing that's hitting me here is that the overall mix is too loud. Now, I've got a couple of options for what I can do here, and this is the problem. Even though you can see here that my guitars, I've tried to start with them, like most of them, apart from the quieter ones, I've tried to start with them down pretty low, but once you start layering up, 10 plus tracks, you're going to get a loud sound. So that is a problem. I could bring everything down, or I could use a little trick that I've been using here in GarageBand for a long time, and that's the FX volume trick. So let's do that now. I'm going to tap on the FX button up the top here. I'm just going to hit record and just record any old bit of effects in here just to get the track active. I'm going to hit stop on that one. And then what we can do is we'll tap off the FX button, but now what it's added is this FX track down the bottom here. I don't need that part. I'll just tap on that one. I'll tap it again, and then I'll hit delete on that one to get rid of the actual little bit of effects there. And then the cool thing is, though, that if I tap on my mixer icon here up in the top left, actually what I should be doing is using my mouse, right? Although it's going to be really low refresh, but if I need to point to what I'm doing, so I click my mixer icon up the top there, and then I come into here. And the cool thing is that we have a visual EQ that we can use here. So if we tap on that one, yes, we can EQ the entire track because the FX track goes across the whole track. So I could EQ the entire track here, but the other thing I can do is actually reduce my volume. So I can drop, say, 5 dB off this track. That's actually going to make it sit better. If you look at that master meter up the top there, I'll put it back to 0, and then watch when I drop it down here. We'll hit play. We'll get to a part where there's actually music.
There are times when you might give in, thinking there's just no way to win, looking sideways at other folks, thinking.
So there you go. I've just dropped 5 dB off that, and you can see there from my meter that already I'm not going to be sort of pushing as hard, because here's the thing, not one single track is clipping or distorting, which is good. We don't have any peaks going on there, but our overall volume was getting too loud. So because you don't have a master fader here on GarageBand iOS, you can make your own master fader by adding the FX button, coming in here to your visual EQ, and then over on the right hand side. If you didn't see where I clicked on that or tapped on that, it was over here. So this volume fader over here on the right is what we drop up and down, and that's what's going to work for us there. So we'll hit done. So now that we've got our volume at a more respectable level, out of the way mouse, we've got our volume at a more respectable level, we can sort of start on some of this process. So what I want to do first is I actually want to get the best vocal take down. So I want to do this vocal comping early on, and I'm going to start with this one vocal. And the way I do it, I'm not going to audition every single different vocal for every part. That's going to take forever and I'd get really bored. But what I'm going to do is, knowing that this is my favorite sort of vocal, I'm going to use this until I don't like it, if that makes sense. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to start playing this to the point where something goes wrong and then it doesn't sound right. And then I'm going to put that on my comp track, and then I'm going to audition some of the other ones to see which one's going to sound right. So let's get started. We'll hit play on the track and I'll go through to the point where I think I might need to change up to a different vocal take.
Life is long and you have much time. You're in a rush and you don't know why. You want it all and you want it now, but you doubt your talent and you don't know how. Look around at what others do.
So I think it actually goes a bit quiet there, and you can even see on the waveform there that I'm not right up there on the mic, whereas on other tracks I seem to be. So let's try this first little clip here. So what I'm going to do is we're going to line up here. I'm going to tap on my screen. I'm going to tap again. I'm going to go split, and then I'm going to pull down on this split, and that's going to split this part off. I can now tap it. I can tap again. I can tap copy, and then I can bring us up to my comp track here. Make sure we're lined up at the same spot. Tap it and tap paste. So there you go. That's brought in this particular track. And what I then do, this is sort of my tip for making sure I remember which one I've actually taken for each one so I don't get confused. I actually delete out this one. You might be thinking, Pete, what if you want it back? Well, this is where I wanted to show you non-destructive audio. And this is a concept that's a little bit harder to understand, but you can see here that I've copied it from here. I've pasted it up to here. The thing is, it's still down here. It's still on this track. It's just before this part. So if I wanted that back, all I need to do is grab this handle and go over to the left, and it's going to bring back that audio that I actually took away. So you don't have to worry in something like this. We'll just undo, make sure I don't actually have that there. Undo, undo, undo. There we go. So yeah, you don't have to actually worry about getting rid of audio here unless it's part of a different take. Now, I've just realized that I've kind of ruined my own analogy there, because this one I did do in 2 takes, and this part was actually the second take. So there was actually a split in there somewhere. So that's a little bit different, but I'll show you that again with some other ones, because yes, we can always bring back our audio. If you get rid of audio by sliding it like that, you can always grab that and it's still there. It's just hidden, right? There it is. So now what we need to do is audition some other takes for this next part. So I'm going to mute out my original vocal there. And again, I'm not going to do it just by eye, but I think let's just try this one here, and we'll unmute that one. Now what I need to do is make sure that if we split here, now that we've sort of decided on that one, we're going to have to commit to this. So I'm going to split this off, and I'm going to delete this previous part of that one. And again, we can bring it back if we want to. It's still there, don't worry. We can bring it back if we need to. But just so that I don't get confused and I'm hearing 2 vocals, let's see how this goes into this next section here now.
Your talent and you don't know how. Look around at what others do. Think it's easy, so why not you? But success isn't overnight.
So I like that bit, but you heard there that the success is not good. I've got a big popping S sound on the success. So I'm going to split from here. And what I'll do is I'll tap. Now I can do the copy thing again, or if I'm feeling brave, I can tap and hold and actually drag this up and drop it in there. So that's all cool, but we're now going to mute this one because we need to find one that doesn't have a big hissy success. So let's try this one here.
But success isn't overnight, so if you want to win, you're gonna have to fight. Hold on, hold on.
Yeah, so I kind of like all of that part there. So we're going to go with that one. And again, yes, you could take a lot more time with this, but A, I'm on a live video here and you don't want to see me take forever. And B, we need to finish this song today. So we want to get a good take, but if it's not the best take, then so be it. We'll just have to live with it. So we're going to come in here. We've got this section. And again, we're just going to grab this and drag it up to the top there. And we're good to go. So, do we want to go back to our original one that we were using, which was down here? I think so. So we'll come in here. Actually, let's just listen to that transition first. So
Why not you? But success isn't overnight, so if you want to win, you're gonna have to fight. Hold on, hold on. It's gonna be a long time. Hold on, 'cause it's gonna be a long, long time. Hey!
all right, didn't really like that long time bit of that last one. So if we come back to our original, which was down here, and again, I know it gets a little bit fiddly here, but don't worry, we'll get there. So we'll split that one off here, and let's take a listen. In fact, let's just throw it in there and hope for the best. Let's hope this is going to work okay. We'll split that one out, we'll grab this one, and then we'll slide it on up. So up to our main track, mute out this one, and let's take a listen now.
Hold on, it's gonna be a long time. Hold on, 'cause it's gonna be a long, long time. Hey!
Yep, I'm pretty happy with that. So we'll come back here. Let's listen again to the rest of this. And again, we'll wait until we hit a point that we don't like, and then we will see if we need to comp in some other vocals here.
There are times when you might give in, thinking there's just no way to win. Looking sideways at other folks, thinking you're the butt of everyone's jokes. But there's one lesson that I've learned: when you feel that you can't return, that is that you should persevere, because you won't get it done by living in fear. Hold on, hold on. It's gonna be a long time. Hold on, 'cause it's gonna be a long, long time.
All right, so I like it up to there. I don't like the whoa bit. So we're going to cut it to there, split it. And again, we're going to move all of this section, tap it, and very carefully, making sure we put it in exactly the same spot, move it up to our main track. Now let's come in and audition some whoas. I've got a feeling, just looking at the waveform again, that this was a decent whoa. Oh, I didn't really like that note in the middle there. Let's come back to this next one. Let's try this whoa. Again, that note. I didn't hit that note well. What about this one? We're running out of takes here. No, I think we're going to go back to the second one. I think that was the best of the bunch. Best of a bad bunch? Hopefully not. So again, we'll tap this, we'll split it. I'm going to hit fast forward in a minute and sort of finish up a bunch of this stuff, and then we'll come back if there's anything that really stands out and we can change it further down the track. So we'll bring this one in here, we'll split it, and then we'll bring it up here, tap and hold. Before I started this particular song, I said to folks, do you want to see live videos or do you want to see pre-recorded? And we got about a 50-50 response. So hopefully I've shown enough short snippet pre-recorded ones that doing one long live video like this is going to be okay. So let's go back to our original track here, which was this one here. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to bring the rest of this, because I'm pretty sure from memory the rest of this one was actually okay. So we're going to bring it in. And again, if we find parts that are really sticking out later in the process, then we can swap them out, because we know now what parts. You can see where the gaps are. We know what parts we've used, and therefore we know what we've got here in reserve that we can bring in at a later stage. Now, you probably noticed I also have a harmony track down here. So this does a vocal double in our choruses, and it also does sort of a bit of a harmony down here. So we'll play around with that as we go along if we need some double help on our vocals. So that is what we've got there. Now, you've probably noticed here that some of the volume of our vocal is quite varied, and it starts off loud and then it goes soft. So we are going to have to bring some automation in on this vocal, which I'm going to show you a little bit later in the video. If you haven't used automation before, it is super cool. So hang around to check that one out. But what I'm going to do now is just sort of go back and make sure we've got a bit of a static mix working for us here with all the different instruments. And I'll show you some of the mix decisions that I've made as we go through here. So our acoustic guitars, let's bring these ones in to start with. So obviously at the start we have our more sort of broken chords there. But let's have a quick look at the plugins and EQ I've used on this one. So we're here in our mixer icon. We'll go to plugins and EQ. We've got some compression on here. So I've got 2.6 to 1, which is kind of just a default compression, and I've pulled the threshold down a bit, so it's just going to be flattening out. And if you're not familiar with compression, I do have a bunch of videos here on the channel about compression, but in the short version is when you've got an instrument like a guitar, sometimes you'll play it louder and sometimes softer. Now you can use automation to bring that volume up and down, but what a compressor does, it's like an automatic automation, if that makes any sense at all. So what it does is it helps you to manage your volume, to make sure it actually squashes the peaks and then brings the rest of your track volume up so that it's more consistent and more level. So I've got a bit of compression on there. I'm using the standard track reverb that comes with the nice room sound here because I just happen to like it, and I generally leave that pretty much alone. And then what I've done here is I've rolled off the low end, so I'm using an EQ. I'm just using the stock EQ again. I could use LRC5, which is a more full-featured EQ, but I'm going simple here, and I've also brought a little bit of treble off here. So I was finding that the guitar was a bit too twangy. If we play it here, you can hear there that when I have the treble boosted, it's quite tinny, so I've rolled a little bit of that off, and I think that sounds better with the guitar. Now, I've done some similar sorts of moves here with our second guitar. I haven't spent as much time because what this second guitar, I've just rolled off at the bottom end there. What this second guitar is doing is just doing a little complementary thing here. So you can probably only just barely hear it in the background. It's just keeping that rhythm as we go along with our other guitar. But what I have done is when we get to the final chorus, to really bring the sound home, I've got the two guitars both playing the same chorus here. So take a listen to this. So there it is with one guitar. If we bring the other guitar back in, it just fills out the mix a little bit more and just gives it a little bit more power coming into that last chorus. So that's the guitars, that's the decisions we've made there. Now, in previous videos, I've shown you quite a bit about these two electric guitars, and I showed you how we did complementary EQ, and we did another couple of cool things. So let's just quickly review these. So what these have on them, I don't have any compression. Actually, I do on that one. I don't have any compression on this guitar. In our EQ, what I've done here is, again, we've rolled off at that bottom end to make some room for the bass. I've put a boost in here. If we tap on that, we've got a boost of like about 3.5 dB at 2.5 K there, and then we've got a little bit of a boost off the top here. So we've basically just tried to boost it a little bit to height the treble of this guitar so that our lead kind of cuts through. And then on this one here, I must turn notifications off. Hey, on this one here, we've done a bit of a reverse. So we've brought down at that same level just to do a little bit of complementary EQ. And what we've done with our panning, if we come back here, tap back on the left here, you can see that this one's panned right, but it's panned half the way right. So it's panned out here just so that we don't get it. You can have it all the way, and I'll show you the difference in a minute, but I tend to bring things in a little bit. It just gives you a bit more of a full sort of wall of guitars kind of sound. If you want that more separated stereo sound, you can definitely bring them apart. We'll come over here to this one, same sort of deal, but we're over here on the left. So let's just solo these two guitars and hear how they sound together. So our first guitar here, our rhythm guitar, is what comes and plays our junk junk at the start here when we're doing our acoustic guitar and before our vocals come in. So that sounds like this. And what you can hear there's a bit of this echo sound on here. So I'll talk about our master effects later, but you can see here we've got master effects, and the echo master effect we're using is this 60s echo effect, which I think is kind of cool, and I'm thinking it's working for this track. We can always review that, but if we listen to what this does, I'll pump it all the way up and you'll hear the sort of echo we're using. On the wrong track. So it's sort of a stereo delay there. You can hear that stereo delay coming through, which I think works, especially on these guitars. I've added quite a bit of it. So when we bring the second guitar in, and again, if you're listening on stereo speakers, you'll hear this sort of mid-range sort of separation here that we have. So we have our lead over here on the left with the higher one, and then we have an octave down on the right doing our rhythm. And even though the waveforms look different, you can see here I've balanced out the volumes, and if you actually watch this as I play it, look at the 2 meters there in the middle, and you'll see that they're quite balanced here on the left and right. So if I wanted that really wide sound, what I could do is we can pan all the way to the left there, and we can pan all the way to the right on this one, and then take a listen to what these sound like. So it's really just a style choice thing as to whether you want to go full on LCR, which stands for left, center, right, meaning you don't pan anything in between. Everything's right on the edges or right down the middle. I like to use a little bit less stereo width. And what I can then do is at the mastering phase, if I find that everything's not wide enough, I can actually use a stereo widener plugin to actually push the width out a little bit more. So that's what we've got. If we bring all the guitars together, just the acoustics and the electrics, let's have a listen. So if anything, that acoustic probably needs to come up here, doesn't it, to sit in this mix. Let's bring it back and play again. Yeah, I think that's about where it needs to be. So there are our guitars. We then have our bass. So let's bring in the bass here. And remember, it's going to be a bit quieter now because we still don't have drums. We still don't have vocals. So we need to make sure we're not mixing and peaking right up to the top level. Otherwise, we're going to have no space left for our other instruments. Now, our bass is pretty straightforward here. Just using a pretty standard bass sound here. By the way, I didn't even talk about the amp sims that I'm using. I'm using some of the GarageBand amp sims here. If you want to learn more about these, I did a video where I showed how to record using the amp simulators and the sort of the tone pack that comes with the amp simulators here in GarageBand. What you can basically do, and we won't go into detail here today, you can come in here and you can customize the sound. So you can use a different amp, which I've got here. You can then come in, get rid of that. You can then come in and look at, oh, gone into there. Move your little knob. We can come in here, like I've added a vintage drive distortion pedal here, so you can really customize your tones, and hopefully you agree, but the guitar tones I think you can get from just the GarageBand amp sims are actually pretty darn cool. I don't mind them at all. As I said, I use the Stark amp sim for a lot of things, but I just wanted to go with the default GarageBand here. So there's our bass. If we bring the bass back in, what I like to do is make sure the bass and the electrics play nicely together. So let's listen to these together now. There's our bass, our lead over on the left, and then bring in our rhythm. Do you think I liked a lot of 90s rock? Yeah? Do you think I listened to a lot of alternative music in the 90s? I think so. Those two electric guitar sounds are very 90s Seattle sound, kind of grungy sounds, aren't they? So that's what we've got for our guitars and our bass guitar. Now let's come into, so what I had together, actually I'll play you this first. So I was putting this together and I'm like, okay, we got the acoustics, we got the electrics, we got the bass. I'll bring my drums back in, even though we haven't sort of talked about them yet. And then we'll bring the vocals. Oh, where's my big vocal comp? There it is, lead vocal comp. So I was playing this, and what I was hearing is that it was just missing something, especially at the start here. So if we come back to the start, just our acoustic guitar, right? Acoustic guitar and a hi-hat. So it's okay, but I wanted a little bit more interest there because it does it twice and it gets a little bit dull. So I added these 2 tracks, and tell me if you think these actually work, because if they totally don't, I'm happy to remove them. I'll take a vote, take a poll here live, and whatever the consensus is, we'll go with that, hey? So let's hit play. So what have I added? Well, now I realise I've done this a stupid way. I now have to unsolo everything else so that you can just hear what I've actually added in. If we unsolo everything else, remove our drums, remove our vocals. Didn't even hear the vocals, did you? So what we have here is a piano that is basically mirroring exactly what that acoustic guitar is doing. And it's pretty quiet, as you can see there. And it's just putting this in the background. So let's hit play on this one. So there's our piano, and then what I did is I grabbed an electric piano and put this on the right-hand side. That can even come up a little bit. And then they'll just repeat, and then they just do sort of some little pads throughout. So if we come down here sort of to this part of the track, so it's just adding a little bit. So I'll definitely leave this part in because this just adds and brings up that second verse and makes it different. Second verse, different from the first. But let me know what you think. Do pianos yes or pianos no? Should pianos stay at the start of this track doing that same thing as our guitar? Let's bring it in and bring it back into our whole mix and take a listen. I just personally think it adds a little bit more to it, and not a boring part, but a part that's just using one instrument can sometimes be a little bit too plain and uninteresting. And I think this just puts something on the sides, something out there in the stereo spectrum that just adds to it. So yes, let me know what's going on. Let's have a quick chat to the folks that are here that are good enough to be here live, and then we're going to continue on with this, because what I want to show you next is automation, and then I'm going to clean up the start and the finish of this song so I can get a version at the end of this stream that I can play to you and you can let me know what you think. So we'll jump over here, we'll say hello, and then we will come back to that in a moment. So let's have a look. Lots of folks saying lots of things here, so thank you to you all for being here. Hello, Mike Swain is here as well. Hi, Pete, new guy here, total newbie but having a ball. Metallion58, great to have you here. Thank you very much for dropping by. Ultimato, I should be able to finish my song for the Songtember challenge. Awesome, do your thing, I like it. And if you don't, yeah, I'll talk it towards the end about what happens if you don't. What happens if we don't succeed? Well, it's okay, we'll continue on. Olguta Viga, thanks for answering my question. Hopefully I actually answered your question. You're not saying thanks for answering my question because I'm not sure what it was, but let me know. Thomas, hello, Thomas Gallane here. Hello to you. Good to have you here. The boss making another helpful video again, Kyle Knoll. Hello to you. I'm not like Bruce Springsteen, the boss, am I? That would be super cool if I was. Nice Celtic dropkick Murphy feel, says Metallion58. Yeah, this is very much, I was inspired by a couple of tracks. There's a Green Day song, I can't remember the name of it now, and I've kind of evolved it to be a bit different from where it was originally. Dropkick Murphys are a big influence, like the Shipping Up to Boston's one of my favourite tracks of all time. Love playing that at the hockey when I do the hockey announcing. And also the Proclaimers. This has a bit of a I would walk 500. Yeah, that one. I won't sing anymore, otherwise it will give me a copyright. So we've got Sunil here saying can't get iOS 13. I'm very sorry. I know some of your devices that don't support iOS 13 is a pain in the butt. So yes, I apologize. I'm sorry. Bubba, hello to you. Great to have you here as always. So Thomas says, never thought of vocal comping. Yeah, vocal comping, very, very cool. If you're like me and you can't, for the love of money or anything, record a single vocal take and get everything the way you want it, then just do 5, 6, 7 takes and then go and choose the best bits of the best bits and you'll get a better vocal, generally. Sometimes you do compromise on performance if you comp, but I tend to find I get a better overall result. So that is a cool thing. How are you showing your iPad on your screen? Well, it's not a great advertisement for it, but I'm actually using a piece of software called Reflector. It's called Reflector 3. So if we go here, so there's my desktop there, and here is the little widget that's on my screen here. So you can see there that it's got Desky, which is the name of my desktop computer here, and you can display any iOS device directly to your screen using Reflector 3. But again, maybe I need a bit more power, a bit more memory or video memory on my computer because it's going at a pretty low flame rate. Flame rate, that's something different. That's how quickly people will flame you on the internet when you try and release music online. Different thing. But yeah, thank you for your question. We'll continue on. I'll definitely catch up on the replay. Yeah, so if you can't hang around, catch the replay. You can scroll through, you can skim through, and I will try and put links in the video on the replay. So if you are watching on the replay, you should be able to jump around and find different places so that you don't spend too much time. So Mr. Rad's Music Channel. Mr. Rad's Music Channel. That's a very cool name. Am I still over on the wrong screen? I am. Hello, Mr. Rad's Music Channel. I saw the replay of the stream last night, 5 minutes after it finished. Some songs on my YouTube channel I made in September. Cool. I will have to check it out, especially with a cool name like that. Metallion, I keep getting that wrong. So much to learn. Yeah, well, you know what? Learn, do it in chunks, little baby steps, and that's what I hope to do here. If every time I do a video you walk away with even one little aha moment of something you didn't know before, then I think my job here is done. You're not going to learn it all overnight, but if you can get little chunks here and there, I think that's a good thing. Carlito is here. Excellent. Question here, any tricks on adding personal drum instruments in Drum Sequencer? Yeah, I do have a whole video about how to use drum samples to make your own sampler-based drum kit, basically, that you can use on various tracks. So if you search Pete John's Drum Custom, I think that might get you there on YouTube. Give that a go. Let me know how you get on. Shoot me an email if you've got specific questions, and I'm happy to get there. The doubled melody on the piano gives an illusion of a 12-string, says Bubba. Yeah, that's kind of what I was going for. So with the do-do-do-do-do, I think having the piano up that octave and then the electric piano down at the same octave as the guitar, it gives it some more width and a little bit more, I don't know what you'd call that. Betterness, right? 100% betterness. In favour of the piano, I've got another one here from Metallion in favour. The piano sounds good. Keep it maybe because the maybe increase the electric piano volume. Can't hear what it sounds like. Yes, so I will put the electric piano up. Sunil says the piano fits in. Jalen Lay says, what's the best export settings for GarageBand songs? I'll show you at the end of this one because we will be exporting it. But WAV file 44.1 kilohertz, 24-bit. That's what you want, the highest. So export it at the highest possible setting. You'll get the best possible sound. Maybe increase the volume on the pianos in the full mix. Yeah, I think so, because they do get a little bit buried and hidden. I think because I wasn't committed to them, I had the volume down low. So now that if I'm going to commit to them, I'm going to have to push that volume up. So we're going to go louder on the volume on the pianos. Mr. Rads, never thought of doing vocal comping as well. Yes, you've been teaching me so much. Oh, very welcome. And Sunil says, thank you, sir, for your help. I'm caught up. So thank you again for those that are here on the live stream. If you're here on the replay and you do have questions, comments, suggestions, anything you want to know about GarageBand, make sure you throw that down in the comments. I'm always down there chatting to all you good folks that are kind enough to spend your time watching these videos and providing your feedback. Let's get back to the track. So, yes, first of all, let's put these pianos up. So I liked that feedback, and if you're liking the pianos, I'm liking the pianos, and let's bring them up in the mix. So we'll play this. Yeah, I'm actually liking them more and more.
Life is long and you have
cool. I think we're okay here. I think we're doing all right. Let's touch briefly on the drums. I haven't done a whole lot in terms of playing with the drums. As I mentioned before, I recorded them in here. So the first track here is our kick and snare, and then we've got our crash cymbals on the second track here. The third track here is our hi-hats, and I probably even need to bring the crashes up. Let's bring everything up to about the same volume there. Maybe a little bit more on the kick and snare. So if we just play these together. It's a very basic beat, and what I've done with the beat is here in the first verse, it's doing a very regimented straight beat. So you can listen to that again. So it's just kicking along, so that when it comes in here with the rest of it, it's just really a driving beat.
Look around at what others do. Think it's easy, so why not you? But success isn't overnight, so if you want to win, you're gonna have to fight. Hold on.
And then there's our chorus beat. And I really like that bum in there. So I've tried to get that feel so that when it's coming in here with the hold on, it does a bit of that. So we'll just play that again.
Hold on. It's gonna be a long time. Hold on, 'cause it's gonna be a long, long time. Hey!
Okay, cool. I don't like that crash hit right there when it comes back in with the hey. It doesn't need the crash hit there. The hey does the work. So I'm going to edit this. Edit and tap on this crash. Tap delete. See you later. One of the beautiful parts of virtual drums, yeah? If you record drums live, it's harder. You'd have to actually go in there and delete it out to remove a drum. But there we go. That is cool. So yeah, that's what we've done with our drums. And because they're virtual drums, they're going to be very simple. I don't have to do a whole lot to them. I haven't even really done anything in the way of compression, EQ, or anything. I've left it all pretty much the same. The only thing I have done is down the bottom left here, down here, I've added some of the echo and the reverb. And the reason I'm mentioning this is that what you'll notice is as you go through every instrument here, they've got different levels of this echo, apart from our bass, which you don't really want reverb and echo or delay on a bass. But yeah, all of our guitars, all of the vocals, all the pianos have all got some of these master effects. And this is something that I use in GarageBand all the time, because there's two ways to add effects in GarageBand. There's your track effects, and then there's your master effects. And the reason there's two is that they used to actually only be master effects. We had no track effects at all. You could literally just dial in one type of echo, one type of reverb, and then put a little bit of that on every track if you wanted to. But now, in the plugins and EQ here, we've actually got track reverb. So you can use track reverb, you can use track delay or echo on a single track, and then you can actually use this master. And the beauty of the master, I've said this before, but if you're new to the channel or you haven't done a lot of this before, the beauty of the master reverb and master delay is that it brings all the instruments together. So clearly, we've got virtual instruments, we've got real instruments, we've got a whole bunch of different things here. They've been all recorded separately, and some of them been direct in, some of them been recorded in a space that's less than ideal like this one. So adding in just a little bit of reverb on all of those that's the same type can actually really glue everything together. So, and we'll show you that in the mastering process in the next video too. Mastering's the same thing. A bit of reverb can glue everything together in that final master if it's needed. We'll get into that anyway. So where are we at here? What we're going to do now is we're going to do our cleanup. So I'm pretty happy with our static mix. And what do I mean by cleanup? Well, cleanup is basically our editing process. So part of mixing is also making sure that you're removing the bits you don't need. So this means that when an instrument is not playing, or when at the end especially, if it's distracting, you need to actually remove that or drop the volume down or cut it out completely. So that's what we're going to do here. And I'm going to show you a couple of these moves as we go through. So the first thing we need to do is make sure that our start and our finish, what I do call the tops and the tails, we want to make sure that there's nothing at the start and the finish that's going to be like background noise or that we don't actually need. So here is our acoustic guitar. There is its first hit there on this bar 9. So if we hit play here, that's where it starts here, but I've actually got this bar in front of it, and because I've got a pretty quiet preamp, I can actually have a little bit of that room noise and it's not going to sound too bad. So if we just play this, it's actually okay. But what I will do To make it completely silent, I'm just going to bring it right in here and put it just there. I'm never going to put it right on there because it could cut off the very start of our strum or our pluck or our pick or whatever. So I'm going to put it just after there. And now we've got complete silence and just before it comes in. And because we've got all virtual instruments here, the rest of them, there's no sort of start in there that we need to worry about. Drums, virtual, pianos, all the others are virtual. We then need to come down here to our guitars and just make sure that this second acoustic, does this actually start right here? There it is. That's where it actually kicks in. It's playing very quietly. But again, look, it's right on there. It's cutting it off. So we're just going to bring this back a couple of notches just to make sure. Because if you zoom right in there, that first hit, it's not... We want it to make sure that it's got a little bit of breathing space at the start. So now if we play... Yeah, there we go. So that's cool. The start of the acoustic's okay. Now, what about these electrics? I think I've already done this. It looks like I have. So again, we've come in here. We can probably go even a little bit closer to that one. So if we come there, right up to there, and the same with our bass, because these two will actually start here. Let's just hit play on these. There we are. All right. Now, I'm torn here. It doesn't actually matter so much, but because there's this big gap between these first two hits, I am actually going to remove the sound there. So, and because there's such staccato beats, so we don't need any of that after the sort of middle of that bar. So I'm literally going to cut these off just so that we don't get any of that background noise. There's a noise gate there that's doing most of it, but we just want to make sure that we can have the best possible sound. We'll bring it back in here just before the next one, and we'll get rid of that blank space. So yes, this part can be a little bit tedious, and I don't recommend doing this all the time for everything, but for something like this where it's a lot of background is quiet, I will actually do this. So next one. And again, you can hear there that it's got a little bit of follow through there that we probably don't want all that sort of scraping. And then when we get to here though, we do want it to sort of carry through. So we'll just split that out. And the thing is, if this sounds all artificial, we can undo it and we can sort of replace it with the sound. So again, non-destructive editing means we can actually drag this back out and completely replace any sound that we remove. So don't worry, if you make a decision, even if you've lost your undo ability, don't worry so much, you're going to be able to bring it back in. So let's now play this again. We're going to unsolo everything. Let's just take a listen to the start of this track as these guitars come in and make sure it's sounding good and we don't have any background noise. Yeah, that's better.
Life is long and you have much.
I think this guitar needs to come up just a tiny bit, actually. We're going to bring the volume up just a little bit there. What it may actually need is it may need just these parts to come up in volume. So let's just play that again. Yeah, that sounded all right. That's about right, yeah.
Life is long and you have much time. You're in a...
Yeah, I think that's about right. So we'll go with that. So we've cleaned up the start. Now, the finish. This is where, don't do this until you've got your static mix to about almost exactly where you want it to be, because what we're going to do now is use automation to actually reduce the volume at the end here and fade out. Now you may be saying, Pete, there's a fade out here in GarageBand that you can use here. You can go in, you can do fade out. You know what that does? It gives you a default generic fade out across all your channels at the time that GarageBand thinks it should. I literally never use it. I don't think it's useful unless you're doing like an old school 80s song that literally just fades right down at the end. Nah, I don't like it. For my fades, I want to do them all manually and control exactly when it goes to 0 at the end. So let's show you how to do that right now. We'll get rid of my little knob and put that down the end there. So, and I'll use my mouse for this one because I'll be able to show you exactly where to click and tap. So to do automation, we're going to do the acoustic guitar first. We'll solo this acoustic guitar. We'll tap right on the guitar. And what we've got is all of these options here. Now, these are different from the options if we tap on the actual waveform. So this is to edit the actual audio. So if you tap on the waveform, the blue section here, that's to edit the audio. If you tap on the actual instrument, this is to edit the track. So when folks get confused because they're trying to delete a track, trying to rename or do a merge function or do automation on the track, and they click on the waveform or tap on the waveform, that's where folks go astray. So there's two different places you can click and tap. You can click and tap on the blue part. That's going to be your audio. If you're editing the audio itself, if you're editing the track, tap or click on the track. Simple as that. So let's go into automation. If you haven't used automation before, I've got literally a billion T12 automation videos you can check out on the channel. Just search Pete Johns Automation. They'll all come up there. But the basics of what we do here is that we're controlling our volume. We're automating our volume and we're using it to fade out our guitars here. So what we're going to do is we're going to tap on this one and slide across to create some automation points. And then what we can do is actually turn automation on by tapping on this little widget here. And here are our automation lines. So we're good to go. It was doing something weird there, wasn't it? It was kind of cutting off. But anyway, we've got it here. So what we want to do, I'll use my mouse again here to show you where I'm going to tap on. So we're going to tap on a point where we want it to start fading out. So here is the end of our track. We'll just play this. So there it is. Now, even though the waveform's gone away, you can still hear that, yeah? There's a lot of resonance. So we probably don't want it to end until about here. So let's just bring the rest of our, so we'll just mark that point, bar number, what's that, bar 120? So bar 120, let's just see if that's the point where for the whole track, we want it to actually fade to completely nothing. So we'll play the end of the song entirely.
It's gonna be a long, and it's gonna be a long, long time.
Not a big fan of that muh. Yeah. Yep, I reckon 120 is going to be the spot. Again, we'll try it. We can adjust it afterwards. So now that we know that 120 is where we want to fade to 0, we need to work out where we want to start fading. And it's basically going to be, again, as soon as this waveform goes down where you can barely see it, that's usually a good start point for your point. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to tap or click on that point to create our fade point there. And then I'm going to do the same here on bar 120. Even using the mouse, it didn't quite do it perfectly. Look at that. But it's close enough. And then up the top here, we're going to actually flick that off because if we leave that on, it'll add more points. And what we're going to do is grab this point here, and it's as simple as this. We just need to tap or click and hold and drag it. And you can see there that dB, and what's happening over there on the left is that our volume is going down as we drag this down. And all we want to do is put it down here to completely 0 or minus infinity dB. We can also, while we're here, just drag it across a little bit. So if we want to put it right on that 120 or there, we can release there. And now if we solo this acoustic guitar, take a listen to how it's going to sound now. So there's the finish, that final waveform, and then from there, it starts going down. And it just fades nicely to nothing. So it's not too aggressive. If we wanted it to be more aggressive, we could do that. We could grab this, and if we wanted it to go out earlier, we can put it earlier. If we wanted to go further, we can do it further. You can add more points. So what some people might want to do is add another point. So if we go back to our little tick button here in the top left, if you added another point, say here, what if you wanted it to sort of gently fade halfway and then completely fade the rest? Well, you can do that. We just need to grab this and then pull this up like this. So this will give you a different sort of fade shape, and you can play around with whatever's going to work for you. So if we have this now, it'll fade gently, a little bit more gently there, a little bit resonant, and then it will start dropping quicker, yeah? So that's a cool way to go. I generally use a straight line fade curve. So I'm just going to undo and go back to that. So that's the basics. All I need to do now is basically replicate that across all of my other instruments, which is a bit of a manual process, but doesn't take actually too long. So let's just do this quickly now. We're going to tap this one. We're going to tap again. And so now we're already in automation. All we need to do is go down and click these on or tap these on, the little yellow thingies here, to get our automation points happening. Slide over here on the top left. and then we can actually, well, that's why it wasn't showing, because we had them all muted. And then just replicate this out. So we'll go to this same point where we want it to start. Boom. Point where we want it to finish is there. Round about there. And what we can do is, while we've got this enabled, let's go through and just add in some basic points for all of our other tracks. Now you can see here this rhythm guitar goes a little bit further, so we might actually let this resonate a bit more and then bring it down there. And again, it doesn't have to be super perfect, because it doesn't have to, every instrument doesn't have to line up and go out at the same time. You can see here the bass has already gone to 0. I'd stopped playing it. So I can bring the bass out a little bit earlier. We'll continue down. Things like pianos, you can actually do the same thing here on pianos as well, and drums. The drums, it'll probably just resonate out in the same with the piano. So I'm going to leave the virtual instruments for now, but you can use exactly the same method. Here's our comped vocal. So we can do the same here. Did I not sing this out so well? Or do I just need to extend that? Let's just take a listen. Yeah, so with the vocal, we really don't want it to go much past that m sound there. And I may end up replacing that with a different version where I don't have quite as much of a pronounced m. But we'll add that in for the vocal. I think we've got a backing vocal, which I'm hiding down here at the moment for some reason. Yeah, there it is. So we'll do the same for our backing vocal. Bonk. And we'll bring that out earlier as well. So now we can slide off in the top left. All we need to do now is go through and actually drop all these down. So wherever they are. In this, we'll drop them all to 0. And again, when you're using a straight line linear fade out, this works easily, so it's a lot simpler to do. But the reason, I'll show you in a minute, the reason why I say do this right at the end, once you've got your static mix happening, why is that not? There we go. Is that it, oh, gone too far, is that you can see here, over here, our little volume controls have now gone yellow, meaning if we want to make any changes to these now, we can only make those changes by actually doing it right here on the automation window. So we can't actually do this anywhere else now, which can be painful if you want to sort of make some slight adjustments to volume. I'll show you ways we can do it in a minute anyway. Am I bringing it all back to 120? It was supposed to be 121, wasn't it? Oh well. We'll see what this sounds like. We can stretch them back out, but that's all done now. So we will tap on done up here in the top right. Here we go. And we can scroll in. So there you can see all those automation curves. And look what happens when we scroll across. I know it's a little bit sort of slow, but it can go. It'll drop all those volumes all the way down. So let's take a listen. What have I got soloed? I must still have something soloed here, right down here. My vocals. All right. So we've got everything there, good. Let's listen to the end of this track and see what it now sounds like with this cleaned up automation happening here. I'll go back a little bit.
'Cause it's gonna be a long, yes, it's gonna be a long, and it's gonna be a long, long time.
Yeah, cool. If anything, it might even be a little bit long, so we might want to bring it back. So I'm glad I brought it back to 120, not 121. So I might want to bring it back to, say, bar 119. So that'd be cool. What I would now do, just to clean things up a little bit, is I'm just going to remove the ends of any of these. So I will just bring them back to this 120, is it 120? 121 mark. Just so that we've got a little bit of a cleaner end, because this is, as soon as there's no more waveforms, that's when GarageBand actually ends your song. So if you've ever wondered why sometimes it won't, like I've got this blank space here at the end that I never used, that's something that GarageBand will do, is it'll make sure that it doesn't actually make your file, when you export it, go any further than that. So if you remove everything, even stuff we've muted, we pull it all back to that 121 mark, then that will be exactly where it will finish the song, and when we export it, that'll be the point that it exports from, which is super cool. So how are we doing here? I think we're coming along okay with this mix. I'm going to do one more thing with automation, because the most important track here to make sure is sitting right in the mix is your vocal. And what I've noticed is that the vocal needs to be a little bit louder in some parts and a little bit softer in others. So I'm going to show you how we can do some vocal automation by adding some more automation points here. And what we're going to do is listen through to this with the full mix, and I'll listen to the vocal and then we'll increase it or decrease it. Now, after I've done all of this, what I'll need to do is go away and listen on some other speakers. So listen on my monitor speakers, listen on a Bluetooth speaker, listen on earbuds, and just sort of make some mixed notes, because the final mix of this needs to incorporate all the things that I've done here and learned here, any suggestions you have in the chat or in the comments, and then I can bring together a final mix. And that's where I'll listen to it, I'll take notes without actually changing anything, and then come back and make a few tweaks, go back again, listen again. Oh, the vocal in verse 2 is too loud in the second part. I'll bring it down with some automation, I'll come back, and then I'll do it again. So that's what my next sort of 4 hours is going to be like, is going to be bouncing around. And then later today, or what will probably be the middle of the night for most of you, I'll be doing a mastering video where I'll show you how I master this song on my iPad using Final Touch, which is my favorite mastering app. So let's get in now and do this vocal automation. So we'll come into this one. We'll tap here and we'll go into our automation, ready to actually start changing this around. Now, I did also mention the other thing that we can do to change volume. So you can see here, my volume slider is not going to go up and down anymore, yeah? So we can't actually do that. But if we just tap done for the moment on that one, up here in the mixer and EQ, we can use that same volume trick with our EQ that we used on the master track. And that is to come in here to plugins and EQ, and to tap on the visual EQ here. And over here on the right, we've got a volume fader. So we can actually increase and decrease the gain or the volume of our entire track just here. And that means we can kind of override or trick it out of that, the automation or the volume, the main master volume, and then a double tap and we'll go back to zero or zero gain there. So that is something that we can do here. But for now, why don't we come in here and listen to this track, and I'm just going to see if we can do some automation moves to make this vocal sit better. So hit play.
Life is long and you have much time. You're in a rush and you don't know why. You want it all and you want it now, but you doubt your talent and you don't know how. Look around at what others do. Think it's easy, so why not you? But success isn't overnight, so if you want to win, you're gonna have to fight. Hold on, hold on. It's gonna be a long time. Hold on, 'cause it's gonna be a long, long time. Hey!
So far I'm actually not hating the volume of it overall. I can remove some of this. Well, wrong one. Undo. Undo is your friend. I can tap and carefully remove some of this in between sound here, because we do not need all of that while it's just doing the instrumental. We don't need me breathing in the background, right? So we can bring that and get rid of that sound there. The other thing is, because we've got down here, we've got the vocal double, doing it at a lower volume, it actually automatically brings up the volume here in our chorus. So let's take a listen again.
Fight, hold on, hold on. It's gonna be a long time. Hold on, 'cause it's gonna be a long, long time. Hey!
So what I'd normally do is increase the volume there in the chorus, but I've already kind of done that by actually using a double vocal there. So let's come in here and listen to the second verse, because sometimes your second verse does need to have a vocal lift, because you've got a lot more instrumentation, a lot more sort of dense instrument sound. So sometimes you will need to lift your vocal. Let's see if that is the case.
There are times when you might give in, thinking there's just no way to win. Looking sideways at other folks, thinking you're the butt of everyone's jokes. But there's one lesson that I've learned: when you feel that you can't return, that is that you should persevere, because you won't get it done by living in fear. Hold on, hold on.
Now, is it just me, or is that vocal sounding buried, that second verse? I think it does need to come up. Now, I could either use automation, or I'm going to show you yet another volume hack here. It's the day of hacks and tips here. So I'm actually going to use clip gain to increase, because I want this entire section to be louder. And I know that all the way through to here, I want it to be a few dBs louder. So what I can do is, instead of having to play around and get messy automation involved at this stage, I can actually tap on this one and tap the settings over here in the top right. Let me show you again using the mouse. So we'll tap on the actual waveform, and then we'll tap here on settings. And this is going to drop us into this little bit here. And what we can do is we can grab this gain dial in the middle here, and we can actually push our gain up. So I think we need to be a bit aggressive. We probably need 3 dBs of additional gain on this vocal. Now, it won't change your waveform. We'll tap on done there. It won't change your waveform, but it will change the underlying volume. So let's just play this again and see if this pushes that vocal in our second verse up a little bit into the mix.
There are times when you might give in, thinking there's just no way to win. Looking sideways at other folks, thinking you're the butt of everyone's jokes. But there's one lesson.
Yeah, and now I'm listening to that going, maybe it's still not even loud enough, but I have this tendency, let's just call it a habit, of mixing my vocals way too loud. So I'm actually trying to get out of that habit by making sure I mix them a little bit quieter. So let me know if you're thinking it still does need to come up, let me know. I'll just do this again, just so that you can see the effect you can have. If we wanted to like really boost this gain, we could actually bring it right up, and just to show you that this actually works, we'll hit play. Oh, what have I done here? Oh no, we have crashed it. There you go, that's pretty good. I'm on my iPad Air 2. We've had an hour and 10 minutes, and it's my first crash. So let's see how GarageBand recovers from this crash, shall we? And load it back up. At least we haven't had an optimizing performance, right? That's always got to be a good thing. Phew, there we go. Righty dokie. Has this... I've got a feeling that this has just reset this track. Has that not saved any of the changes? This could be a really valuable lesson for all concerned here, including myself, because I don't think that this, when it crashed just then, has saved any of my changes. What do you reckon? Nope, definitely doesn't have the automation at the end there. Doesn't have any of my vocal comping. This could be a really interesting lesson. Let's go back to our songs and let's see what's actually happened here and what it's actually saved this as. Don't be too concerned. I mean, it'll be a bit funny because it'll be like what happens when you do things live, right? So there it is today at 9:42, which it is now. Has it actually saved another version of it? Has it done anything here to retain this? I don't believe it has. I think we might be back to, not square one, but because I know what I did, and it'll only take me, seriously, to do what I just did, it'll be about 15 minutes, but I'll have to redo it. And you know what? I've got it all documented here, so if I need to, I might have to rewatch my own video and see exactly what I did. Let's go back into the track and see what we've got. Yeah, no, it's legitimately not saved that. So what I should have been doing, here's the lesson. This is a good lesson to learn. Here's what I should have been doing is I should have at various occasions gone back out here. See how it saves your track when you go back to there? And it should really be saving in your background as you're going along. Well, yeah, I haven't been doing that. So it hasn't been saving and updating the changes that I've been making on the track. So that's a little bit disappointing. But as I said, it's a good lesson. And that's what this channel is all about, is helping you learn how to do things, right? So yes, that has been all lost. So I'll have to go back and do that again, which is unfortunate because I can't play you out by actually playing you the full mixed down version that we had there. But as I said, we still have all the audio intact. Let's look on the bright side. All the audio is there. Nothing has actually changed because all I have been doing is that mixing process. So I'm just going to have to go back and do that again. Which I'm pretty happy about considering I've only got today to finish doing that. Anyway, let's finish off. I'm going to come back and chat to the folks who are probably laughing at me in the chat here right now. Yes, the joys of technology indeed. It's because you are sharing the screen which slows the iPad. Yeah, exactly. And especially because I'm sharing the screen, I needed to actually be being a bit more conscious of the fact that I needed to actually save out like that and do that on a regular basis. But I didn't, so it didn't, but that's okay. Yes. Alrighty, we will, yes. So, yes, Jade Star's giving me some advice here. So, hello, Marcus Manderson, hello to you. Love having you here on the channel. Let's just bring this back over. Bring over to not the desktop, the webcam. Here I am. I'm surviving. Yes, automating and automation does take a lot of processing power. I know I was putting automation on there. I was then doing clip gain. I was screen sharing. Yes, it was all happening. So yeah, it happens. So Marcus says, I had a session become corrupt today. I had to stereo bounce, which was good, but the individual files in the session is basically gone. Yeah, and it does happen. And again, I'm not taking my own advice. I'm not actually doing the things that I should be doing and backing up and saving out. Jay says, wow, the song sounded great. Thank you. Yeah, I thought it was sounding great too. And it will be again. I just need to spend some more time doing some more mixing here offline. But again, if I want to remember what I did, I've got it on video. I'll just have to watch it back. Mr. Rad's music channel. Maybe GarageBand should have an update where when automation is on, you can move the volume sliders that the yellow and it will raise. Yeah, so the automation one's a bit weird because the reason that you can't change it is that it wants to make sure that you don't put automation below 0. So if we come back over to here, the thing is that when you've got automation, because you can go all the way down to 0, if you had an automation, what the heck is that automation curve? That's weird. That's definitely not automation I ever had on there. Anyway, if you went down to 0 like that, you couldn't reduce the volume down because it would go down below 0 if you actually reduced the volume. So that's probably why they don't have that in there. But yes, it would be good because it would be useful for things like we're doing here. Oh, back. Anyone else got anything? De Gaiman says that sounds good. It did. Until a moment ago. When you did the Lightning to USB 3 videos from Mr. Rads, it really helped me out so much. Oh, thank you. I always wanted to move my songs to a USB flash drive. Yes, something I should have been doing. Again, backing up. We're remembering. Thomas says, remember the 6th of Songtember. Yeah. Or... I remember the 21st night of September. Yeah, I've missed the 21st of September. It's your boy. Hello to you. Bubba says, does anyone else catch themselves trying to scroll through Pete's tune? Yeah, what I should do, and in fact, why don't I do that? When I get to the end of this, after I've remixed and redone all the things I just did, why don't I give you guys access, I hate when people say you guys, why don't I give you access to the .band file? So I'll zip it up, I'll put it on a Dropbox or a Google Drive, and I'll let folks download it. That way you can play with it to your heart's content. You can make me sound like a chipmunk, you can remix, you can do whatever you want. That sounds like it might be a bit of fun. Might do that. Michael Arvin, hello from the States. Hello to you. Thank you. Mr. Rad says, does your PC have the Connect app? If it does, you can screen share AirPlay to your desktop at around 25 to 30 frames per second. Yeah, I need to play around with the Reflector app that I'm using at the moment. It doesn't seem to work so well at the moment. Sunil says, is this an original song? Sounds great. Yes, it is. It's an original song. Mr. Rad says, song is too catchy. Awesome. Yeah, I hope you all have an earworm in your heads for the rest of the day or the evening now, and you can actually go back and start going, yeah, hold on, because I know it's been bouncing around in my head for the last week because I've been listening to nothing but it. Mitchell McKenzie, hi Pete, I'll be submitting a song in the Songtember challenge. That is awesome, as will I. Got a little bit more work to do now because I've got to do some more mixing, but I will be getting this done and then being able to submit it. And I don't actually mind when things fail like that because it gives you a little nudge, a little reminder about why backing up is so important, and I get to sort of do it fresh and do it while I'm just listening in as opposed to explaining it as well. And like I said, there wasn't a lot of massive moves that I did there. I just need to, that vocal comping, man, that's going to be the thing that's going to annoy me. But hey, we'll get it done. So that is going to do it. Yes, if you are completing a song for Songtember, for the hashtag Songtember challenge, I will put a video out after I've done my mixing and then my mastering videos today, which will be the official add your link video. So that will be coming out in the next day, so that once you have released, and even if it's a little bit after, even if you just crept into Songtober, don't stress so much about it, because just think how far you are ahead of where you would have been if you hadn't tried it all. So that is all that really is when you're failing. When you have failures, it's just an opportunity to learn what you're going to do differently next time to be more successful. So yes, I know that sounds a little bit like it should be on a big poster or a motivational card, but that's the way I look at it, because yeah, there's no other real way. Otherwise, you'll just say, well, I'll just never do anything. Let's just not bother. Anyway, thank you for those that have been here live. Yes, hope you learned a valuable lesson about backing up. If you've been watching on the replay, thank you. If you got some value out of this and you feel sorry for me losing my work, then you can leave me a like as a consolation, as a commiseration prize. And yeah, please do leave your comments. Let me know how the song is sounding and if there's anything else that you think I should be doing with this track. Thanks again, folks, for being here, and I will catch you next time. Cheers.